You might heard that tall people tend to live shorter than shorter people, but is it true? And if it's true, then why? Well, multiple studies have shown a relationship between increased height reduced life expectancy. One published in 2017 looked at over 3,000 NBA and ABA basketball players from 1920 to 2017, found that generally the shortest players lived the longest, with an average lifespan of 75 years, while the top 5% of tallest players lived the shortest, with an average lifespan of 56 years. Next, a second study looked at 373 male veterans from the Veterans Administration in San Diego who died in between 1984 and 1988. Researchers have discovered that men who were under 167 cm lived longer 4.95 years longer than that. What is more is that men who were shorter than 165 cm lived 7.46 years longer than 182 cm. So, is it true?
Gigantism. Gigantism is a rare medical condition characterized by excessive growth and height, often due to an overproduction of growth hormone during childhood and adolescence. This overproduction is typically caused by tumor in the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland normally regulates the production and release of hormones, including growth hormone. In cases of gigantism, a non-cancerous tumor on the pituitary gland prompts the excessive secretions of growth hormone. This in turn leads to the abnormal growth of bones and tissues, resulting in an individual becoming significantly taller than average. The condition is usually diagnosed during adolescence when abnormal growth becomes apparent. If left untreated, gigantism can lead to various health issues, including joint problems, cardiovascular complications, and other associated conditions.
What about other illnesses, like heart disease? If you think about it, tall people's heart have to pump harder to counteract gravity, right? Not to mention that since their bodies are larger, the distance blood needs to move is further. So maybe tall people have heart problems? It's actually fascinating. As we saw, being tall has been linked to higher risk of developing cancer, but being tall has also been linked to lower risk of cardiovascular disease. Being tall increases cancer risk, but being short increases cardiovascular risk. How weird is that? When researchers identified 180 spots on the human genome that change accordingly to height, they wanted to see which genetic traits also coded for high risk of heart disease. They found that every 2.5 inches or 6.34 centimeters shorter one is from the average, the risk of heart disease increases by 13.5%. The shorter you are, the higher the risk. Researchers note that tall stature may be associated with a low mortality from CVD, but that doesn't mean that tall people don't have heart disease. It just means that tall people were dying of other things, more often heart disease. So then, what does this mean? Are tall people actually better off than shorter people? Well, no. Tall people still live shorter lives on average, while tall people may have lower risk of heart attack, heart failure, and stroke. They are at an increased risk of atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is an irregular and rapid heartbeat that can lead to other heart-related conditions.
Why super tall tend to die young but not the super small? Sometimes anecdote story or misformations can create the perceptions that super tall individuals have shorter lifespans. This could be due to the selection bias, where notable cases of tall individuals facing health challenges receiving more attention, creating a false generalizations. That's why selection bias occur when certain individual or cases are more likely to be included in a study or observations, leading to skewed result. In the context of discussions about the lifespan of super tall individual, selection bias could arise if only cases with negative outcome, such as healthy issue or premature death, are highlighted or reported. This can create a distorted perceptions that all super tall individuals face similar challenges, while those with positive outcome are overlooked. To mitigate selection bias, a comprehensive and unbiased sample of individuals should be considered in any study or discussions. Misformation. Misformation refer to the spread or promotions of false or misleading information in the context of super tall individuals and their lifespan. Misformation could manifest as inaccurate anecdotes, mythic, or unverified claims circulating in a public discourse. For example, in a few cases of tall individuals experiencing health issue or premature death are exaggerated or presented without proper context. It can contribute to the misconceptions that height alone is determining factor for the shorter lifespan. Counteracting misformations involve fact-checking, relying on credible sources, and promoting accurate information to ensure a more informed misunderstanding of the subject. It's important to approach discussions about health and longevity with critical mindset, considering the nuances and complexities involved in individual well-being. Reliable scientific studies and accurate data should be the foundation for forming conclusions about the impact of factors like height on the lifespan.
So we can conclude that the idea that super tall people tend to pass away young is statistically inaccurate, as no study has shown the accuracy of this statement. It is important to understand that the height is not a direct cause of premature mortality, even though some research may corroborate the connection between certain health concerns and larger than average height.